NC State fell to Duke in Durham over the weekend, 45-33. But that is the most simple way to explain a very complicated game. There was a lot going on, and there were, as Dennis pointed out, a lot of swings rapidly back and forth in the momentum world. And it started very early on. 74 yards?
75 yards?
Long screen touchdown to Terrell Anderson, who's a young guy, wide receiver for NC State, who had a massive game. Couple of touchdowns, bunch of big plays, and that one right there kind of set up everything for this game was never what it seemed. Because if you look at the first two drives, there was a 3-play, 75-yard touchdown, 3-play, 75-yard scoring drive, which was pretty much a 75-yard touchdown for Anderson was the bulk of it for State. With horrible tackling by Duke. Two guys just unblocked came up and just two ships passing in the night. Just ran right up to the left side of him. I don't even know if they got a hand on him. Then you go to Duke, and Duke gets a 10-play, 70-yard touchdown drive with Darian Mensah picking apart the defense, some late down plays where they had to pick up the first downs. There's some good runs, and they end up scoring to make it 7-7.
Don't forget about an NC State penalty that aided that drive too.
Very true. And I kind of looked at it and I went, as I'm watching the game, and I was at the UNC UCF game, so I watched this one every snap later, already knowing how it turned out. And I was going like, you know what? Looking at those first two drives, Duke's did feel both ended in 7. Both, right? You're excited. You end up 7-7 and you're moving forward. Duke's did feel a bit more sustainable. It felt like they were doing something that they could repeat. And I'm going, I don't know if State's entire, offense here is like, we're going to wait till third down, throw a screen, and then our freshman is going to run through a bunch of probably should have been tackles and take off for 75 yards, second-year player, whatever it is. And yet it was 7-7. Then you get the interception that Bailey throws down the right sideline, which was a kind of a eyes in the back of your head play by the outside corner. He peels off
Chandler Rivers.
True. Who's, by the way, an All-American, so it makes sense. But who peels off a deep ball to kind of go, which was we used to call them PRGs. They're decoys, right? You're running a guy off, hoping the corner runs with him. But the corner can't assume that. That's how you end up getting beat. But he takes the chances. He peels off it. He pops the ball up, ends up getting intercepted. And I'm going, ooh, that's interesting for C.J. Bailey. Because I'm not 100% sure it was a bad read when he let it go. But that's almost the ones that really mess with a young quarterback, where you don't feel like you did anything wrong, yet you're punished by it. And the interception happens, but he locks in. State's defense has his back. The Duke goes out with 3. They end up losing yards on the next drive. State has a long touchdown drive. It's all looking good. Duke punts again. State has a long touchdown drive. It's all looking good. It's 20-7. And this is what I brought up earlier today. Darian Mensah, as the leader of that Duke offense, absolutely no shake, no waver. I bet you if you would have checked his pulse, down 20-7 against an offense that was cruising, it would have been resting, right? Resting heart rate. It would have been like he was sitting on his couch watching TV. So much so that he was smiling after an awkward tackle when he tucked it and ran. Throws a touchdown pass, and then everything changes. We talked about these gigantic momentum swings. The biggest of the swings for me was State up 20-14. C.J. Bailey, it's 4th and 2. They just picked up a chunk play to get into field goal range. It's near the end of the half, and C.J. Bailey, if you listen to Dave Doeren after the game, didn't even have a play called. Right, he's barking out the hot, just seeing if he can get the defense to jump. As a matter of fact, we have the audio of Dave Doeren, so we'll play that for you right here.
it's a hard count play. We don't even have a play called unless they jump off sides. If they jump off sides, we snap the ball and take a free shot knowing that we got 5. Center's not supposed to snap it unless he knows somebody's in the neutral zone. Jalen thought that their DN was in the neutral zone when he snapped the football. The refs didn't think that. It's a play where CJ in that situation has to see there's not a flag and throw it away. And he was trying to make a play right there. It's unfortunate. I mean, from our sideline, I thought he was offsides. From the ref's standpoint, he wasn't, and it's not reviewable. So it's a tough play in the game. You know, it was 4th and 3. We're trying to get them to jump, and if they don't, I was going to bang a timeout and kick a field goal. You know, we weren't even going to run a play right there.
That all leads into what looked like a horrendous interception. With some background, young quarterback, right, 19 years old. The center, it's even hard to say he should have seen that there wasn't a flag, because when the center snaps it, that is communicating to the quarterback, this guy jumped, right? That is the center saying he jumped, you have a free play. Now, the mistake there is, if Bailey is going to throw it, you take the shot, right? Just put it to downfield and give your guy a 50-50 shot. He kind of threw it low and over the middle, which set up the return. But 4th down, right, he should have thrown it away, is a really weird answer there, because then you're just giving up points down in field goal range. And I'm sure all of this was running through Bailey's head at a million miles an hour. It ends up being an ugly looking play. They return the kick or the interception a long way. Duke scores. They end up taking the lead. And that is where I think CJ Bailey's the rattledness really set in. He now had 2 interceptions. You could argue neither of them were necessarily awful decisions given some context. And if you remember going into the game, we had Mike Lennon on this show and on the Pack Therapy podcast saying the key was CJ Bailey can't turn the ball over. I'm sure they emphasized that quite a bit. He's going into halftime having just blown a 20-7 lead. Duke has the lead. He has 2 turnovers, which everybody emphasized he couldn't have. And you go on and on and on. Second half, he tacks on a couple more turnovers. That ends up being the difference. Duke wins 45-33. I think it's one of the more crazy games. Good plays on both sides. Hollywood Smothers is a monster. Cooper Barkate made some big plays. There's good on both sides. But to me, it came down to which quarterback faced adversity and didn't get quite as rattled. There's a lot to like on both sides. Actually, a ton to like on both sides. But Duke is going to like the final score a bit more because their quarterback avoided the big turnovers.
And Duke really won the middle portion of the game. Like that middle 8 minutes, last 4 minutes of the first half and first 4 minutes of the second half. Because they scored, if I remember correctly, it was 4 touchdowns in about a 9-minute stretch of game time. That's sandwiched
Probably
around halftime, if I remember correctly, because there was 20-7. They get a couple scores before you know it, they're up. Then they get a couple scores early in the second half as well. So, I mean, it was just Duke completely swung momentum in their favor. Plus, let's not forget the blocked field goal that they had as well, along with the interceptions. There was the missed PAT, and NC State just simply made more mistakes overall. NC State just simply made more mistakes than Duke.
In a weird way, State's touchdown, I think it was the Hollywood Smothers run early in the third quarter, was almost too fast.
Yeah.
Because Duke had scored, gotten the turnover that we just talked about, the one that was on, they thought the defensive end had jumped off. Duke scores again. They come out of halftime. They score again. Then State scored in a blink, and Duke went back out and scored again. And then you get the 4 touchdowns in X amount of time, whatever you brought up, when you almost wanted their offense on the sideline for like 6 minutes of game time so they could chill a little bit. And instead, you scored so quickly that they got back out there and kept it rolling, and they were in a rhythm. Duke was in a rhythm. Give Duke a ton of credit for winning that game. I think it was darn near a must-win for them because 1-3 would have been really bad, and they found themselves down 20-7 early with State's offense cruising. Hollywood Smothers looking really good, Terrell Anderson looking really good, Bailey looking really good, and they just calmly fought their way back, won that middle section Dennis talked about, and walked away with a big win in the ACC.
And State's defense just couldn't get a stop.
State's defense has some questions they need answered.
Yeah.
Their secondary is going to be poked and prodded by every quarterback in the ACC. The ACC is full of really good passing offenses. They spend their money on the quarterback position in NIL, and when you see somebody do what Darian Mensah did, when you see somebody do what Caden Hauser did, when you see somebody do what Chandler Morris did, when you see somebody do what the quarterbacks really have been able to find a way to have success against your defense with, that's what you're going to have to stop. And especially because different guys, out for targeting the first half, an injury here, an injury there. Their edge rush wasn't what they probably hoped it would be, and Mensah took advantage of it.